probably say it really like lame. Be like, hey guys, this is don't look at the list. All right. What do I say? Like what? How do we start this? We'd be so bad at podcasts. If we started a podcast, we'd just be like first 5 minutes of silence. And it'd just be awkward. We already have gone through it.
Just be like, hey, what's up? I'm Chase. I'm Jack.
Okay.
We are here just to rank Kanye's album. And blah, 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 blah.
What are we going to name it, though? We got to have a name.
454. I don't know.
454. All right. Yeah, sure. Let's name it that. That's not bad.
All right. So do you want to do the intro?
The 454 podcast. Yeah, we'll call it that. All right. we could have Connor and Seabass as guests.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 454 podcast. My name is Chase.
I'm Jack.
Could have done a little bit better. Either way. All right, and we're here to discuss, or I guess rank, the 11 Kanye solo and not solo album projects, whatever you want to call them, from our least favorite to favorite. I would say there is a purpose to this, but there really isn't one. I'm not looking at yours, don't worry. I mean, I guess because he's coming out with a new album, I guess we could say that's the purpose of this whole thing. But yeah, just to make sure this isn't a best to worst, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, just off pure enjoyment.
But yeah, this is probably what this is going to be. Just to let you know, it's going to be kind of hard. It's like picking your favorite child.
Really
you love each one for different reasons, some more than others. Anyway, let's go. So I think what we're going to do here is we're just going to go from 11 to his 11 to my 10 to his 10, and we're just going to go down. And that's how we're going to go. I don't know how long this is going to take, so I'm sorry if this takes like 3 hours.
Could be here a while.
Yeah,
a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, a lot of heated arguments, tears probably. We'll see how it goes. All right, Jack, you go ahead and go first.
All right, my least favorite is Watch the Throne.
Okay.
It's underwhelming. Kanye definitely carries Jay. I'm not a huge Jay-Z fan, but from what I've heard, it's just not his lyrical best. He's just not the Black album, his Blueprint albums. That's not the same Jay here. And it's the same themes over and over again. Just this glamorous, typical rap album. But it's still, production still makes up for it, of course. On every album, there's going to be amazing production. There are good flows, not the best of either of them, but solid flows on all the tracks.
Oh, you have like.
I took some notes.
I like that. Okay.
Otis and Paris are definitely the best songs on here. Those are some of Kanye's biggest, especially Paris. Ham is an underrated track. I love Ham.
Oh yeah, Ham is a great track.
It's just the flows and that funky beat. Like, it's so weird, and that amazing opera outro.
Yeah, no,
love it. Epic.
I think it's a very overlooked Kanye album, even though I do think it's in the bottom half of his discography. Mm-hmm. Now, my least favorite is Cruel Summer.
Yeah.
I just can't really say much about this album. It's kind of just overall underwhelming. I mean, you have good cuts like Cold, Mercy, Click, New Godflow. There are all these awesome songs, but past sounding pretty great. I really don't get anything out of this whole album. I don't know. And it's not even like a Kanye album, if we're being honest. Like,
yeah.
It's
a compilation.
Kanye West presents Cruel Summer. Still a good album. There isn't really a bad Kanye album in my opinion, so I guess.
Very true.
Yeah. Your 10? Hey, it's fine. Say whatever you want.
10, we got Yeezus.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
It sucks because this is the first Kanye album I listened to. When it dropped, everybody's making a big deal because of what he just dropped. And I can appreciate what he did. He experimented with something that really hasn't been done before. All those weird sounds, and I appreciate that. But he hadn't perfected it. And I know it's hard to do, but it just comes off as unpolished and unfinished. So I appreciate the risk, and the production, in my opinion, is hot and cold, which is weird. On Sight is my least favorite intro track.
Oh.
Though that noise, it's just noise. It hurts my ears. Guilt Trip has terrible production, which sucks because Kanye, I think, gives an amazing verse. Cuddy's underwhelming on it. Bundle of Leaves is probably my second favorite Kanye song of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time, it's epic. When those
Alright.
drums kick in, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, Hold My Liquor, Send It Up are both enjoyable songs. Bound To is the most overrated Kanye song of all time.
Oh, okay.
The
Alright.
sample is easily the best part.
Okay.
But the main reason why I have this low is the overly simplistic and surface level lyrics. It's not that deep in my opinion, and he tries to, and just it doesn't come off as well as his other themes in his albums.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my 10 is your least favorite, Watch the Throne.
Yeah.
It's everything that Cruel Summer is, just a little bit better. I think just the chemistry of Jay-Z and Kanye just really are really the only thing that I can get out of this album, except for some really cool, stellar production between West and other collaborators on that project.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, very bland messages. I think you touched on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's braggadocious. It's fun to listen to.
It's
but
eccentric.
Yeah. Like there was supposed to be a track called "Livin' So Italian," and that's like the best way I can describe it. Is just
That's
like,
true, yeah.
or like Paris. That's. I mean, Church in the Wild, Ham, Otis, all great songs. Paris, like all great again, and like it's just there's nothing much you get out of the album in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, now number 9.
I have Cruel Summer at number 9. It gets a lot of hate, but I think it's an improved Watch the Throne album. Again, I wouldn't classify it as a Kanye album, but it's still related, so that's what we're putting on here.
Okay.
I mean, it's just fun. It's full of bangers, and it gets great verses out of everybody, in my opinion.
Okay.
Kanye on New Godflow and Click is some of his best verses. I love those songs.
Okay.
We get great verses again from Pusha T, Big Sean, 2 Chainz, an amazing Ghostface feature on New Godflow.
Hey,
He
the
eats that
Ghostface
song.
feature is great.
And I mean, the weaker points are when Kanye isn't on there. But The Morning and Higher, which he isn't on, I still love those songs. But it's still, again, doesn't bring anything to the table, so that's why it's that low.
Okay. My number 9. Probably gonna hate me for this, but it's definitely 808s and Heartbreak for me.
Oof, oh.
And I feel like that's Kanye's most divisive album.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at this album, you have to look at what was happening with. I think that's with every Kanye album. What you have to look at what was going around in his life.
Absolutely.
And this was sadly after his mom died, right after the release of Graduation, the previous album before, and the breakup with his fiance. And it's a whole different Kanye that I don't think really came out clear. And if it came out clearer, I think it would have been so much more than what it could. I feel like there was so much more potential. I mean, you have tracks like Heartless, Pinocchio Story, to me, which is one of my favorite live performances by Kanye ever. Just because of its odd nature and sincerity.
Yeah.
Sincerity, whatever. It's just there's a lot of great songs on here. Paranoid is one of my favorite pop songs of all time.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
Blends pop really well.
And I really enjoy the album. It's definitely my least favorite solo album by him, but it's only solely because it's just a Kanye that wasn't focused on anything. It was all these mixed and mashed ideas of just all melody or all of these crazy things that I feel like all created this very beautiful album, but very disjointed album in my opinion, and that's why I think I have it so low.
I can appreciate that, yeah. Alright, and so I just want to say, I love every album from here on out. So it is so hard to rank that.
You don't love the other 3?
I don't love them. I really like all the bottom 3. So I'm going to have to put Ye at number 8. I think it might be Kanye's most important album. It really delves into his his psychological.
I mean, well, if this is most okay.
I think it's just what he was going through at the time. The whole media thing, it was ridiculous, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a really fun time to pay attention to that month of May. But it does feel a bit rushed. It has a rushed tone. It doesn't feel completely polished like some of his earlier albums. But I do love how every song deals with something a little different.
Okay.
There aren't a repeat of many themes on here.
Okay.
And then the recognizing of how mental health is becoming more important is great to hear. You know, Ghost Town, one of his best songs, easily. It's beautiful. I thought About Killing You was a milestone. And the other tracks are still good, but they're just not as good as the best. The best song and the worst album and the worst song in the album, there's just kind of a stretch there. So, and there just seemed to be a little bit of filler on such a short album, which is a little weird.
Okay.
But I still love it.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's in my number 8 spot as well.
Oh,
I do think it's one of the most interesting. I think it's everything that 808s and Heartbreak is, but a lot more condensed, a lot more focused. Because remember, this album is made in 2 weeks. It was the whole original album was completely scrapped, except for probably about 2 songs, which I mean is not saying much because it's only 5 tracks. But to make this 7-track album 23 minutes, and like you said, I love every single album past here has been my favorite album at one point. Not anymore, of course, because now it's my number 8.
Right. Yeah.
But no, Ghost Town. I Thought About Killing You, No Mistakes. Some of my favorite Kanye tracks. Ghost Town's probably my favorite Kanye track of all time, and I think every single person should listen to that song. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great tale of self-reflection, finding where you're at in a certain scope of time, and just being okay with who you are, and coming to yourself, and really recognizing not only being okay with yourself, but having people around you that are okay with who you are through the worst of times, through the best of times. And I think that's why, to me, it's one of his most important messages. I think probably his most important message so far, just through a health perspective. I think this is one of the best leaps in mental health through Kanye that we've seen so far. I think Kanye's always dealt with mental health. I feel like, but this was all about that in this album, and I think so in Kids See Ghosts as well. Right after, it's just in a different light. But I think this was his most valiant effort, and it's just not my favorite, just because, again, like you said, filler. Still an amazing album. Yeah, was one of my favorite albums for a long time. Actually, that probably held my number 1 spot for the longest time. But as you see, kind of decreased down to 8. But
it might become a bit outdated. I think it might.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think there has been I think the only outdated Kanye album, in my opinion, are Watch the Throne and Cruel Summer.
Yeah.
And I think both of those seem kind of rushed projects. So I mean, we might see that again.
We just never know.
All right, what's your number 7?
Number 7.
So this is where things are gonna get edgy.
Yeah.
We're gonna get jaded here.
This album that I said was at a different spot. I guess I moved at Kids See Ghosts at 7.
Oh
I must have switched. I hate it. I hate putting it this low. It's a beautiful production. It's psychedelic, futuristic. Every part of it is amazing. I think Cudi outshines just Kanye by a little bit. Cudi is fantastic on all the songs.
Cudi does have a lot of screen time on set, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, I know. It's the best he's sounded in years, and this is coming from a diehard Cudi fan. Since Man on the Moon 2, it's the best he's sounded. But Kanye still gives amazing verses, especially on Cudi Montage. It's insane. And it carries the same themes over from Ye, which just seeing them, listening to them back to back is pretty nice to hear. And I love all the songs except for Free. I think it's a very corny song. I don't like the way it sounds.
I love that song.
Just the way Kanye says, I feel free, I don't mess with. Yeah, I know.
Dude, it's so good.
I'm not on that wave.
That's okay. Is that all you have to say? All right. I mean, okay, I get that. Probably the most controversial statement on this whole podcast episode. College Dropout number 7.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no.
And like I said, I love every single one of these. College Dropout was probably the first or second Kanye album that I loved dearly, and I had it in my favorite spot. I always thought of it as his best album, and then I just started looking at him more as a person, and the more I looked into it, the more I saw this is kind of a one-dimensional album compared to, and it's not a one-dimensional album at all. It is a plethora of what makes Kanye Kanye, and how this man exploded onto the scene, and I still think it's one of his best albums, and one of the best hip hop albums, not only of the century, in the past 3 decades, but of in the history of rap music. It's one of the most unique and amazing, and I have to give it as much praise as I can because I had to put it this low, and I hate to put it this low. But yes, College Dropout is amazing. Songs like Jesus Walks is one of the biggest movements in pop music and history. Talking about just like religion and pop culture and how you can do all this stuff, but you can't talk about religion. That was such a cool message to me when I first heard it. And All Falls Down, craziest stuff like the New Workout Plan. I love this album so much. Yeah. All of this is great. It's just it's one of my least favorite by him at the moment. Right. It's had its time.
Everything could change.
Exactly.
Tomorrow.
Exactly. These plays could change tomorrow, but right now, just like Ye, this is how I feel right now. Number 6, Jack.
All right, 6. Now 7, 6, and 5. I was continuously switching.
Okay.
6, I have Late Registration. It hurts again to put it this low. Still love it. Again, if this list was based on how good the albums were, it'd be so much higher. Because I think it is one of his best albums, but just I don't know, just not my favorite. Just the way he reinvented his sound though is so impressive. It just doesn't sound like a hip-hop album, especially in the early 2000s. It's so different. The production, again, is amazing. More great themes of family and life on Roses, Hey Mama, and Drive Slow. Crack music sees Kanye takes a social stance, comparing music to selling crack. I love that. Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix is one of my favorite Kanye songs. It's so hard-hitting. He gives an amazing verse. Touch the Sky and Gold Digger, again, pushes him into the mainstream with those more poppy sounds that we all love.
Those hits.
But why I have it so low is on songs like Addiction and Bring Me Down, where Kanye just isn't there with the production. The lyrics and the way he sounds just doesn't match the production. So that's why I have it just at 6, unfortunately.
Okay. I have Late Registration at 6 too.
There we go.
But I agree. I only agree with like a third of what you said. I think.
Not surprised.
Late Registration is everything College Dropout. Is everything that Kanye was able to achieve on College Dropout, but more. I feel that the production with John Bryan, I think his name is it's insane. Mm-hmm. I think the way he influences jazz or includes and instills jazz into this is an amazing. And I honestly don't think he reinvented his sound. I think he just further developed it into, hey, this isn't just bling pop or bling era rap. Yeah. This is something different and this is special. And I'm gonna prove to you once again that I can make an amazing album that's even denser, has more hard-hitting moments like Roses, more just impressively crafted songs like Late, more popular songs like Gold Digger. It has everything, in my opinion, and I think it's one of the greatest early Kanye albums. But again, not my favorite. At a time it was. But again, songs like Addiction, I feel like there were some songs that were hit or miss, and I didn't always like it. So yes, I do put it at 6, just because. It's just because there's 5 other amazing albums ahead of it.
It's also important to show that Kanye wasn't just a one-album wonder.
Exactly.
That he can follow up with a great album.
That was my big point with this album. If we were doing worst to best, this would probably be in the top 3, in my honest opinion, just because it established him as a force to be reckoned with. Definitely. So, number 5, Jack,
I have Life of Pablo.
Oh, Lord.
I know. I wanted to put it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. I'm going to start with the negatives. I'm not a big fan of Wolves.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Wolves.
That's 1 out of 21
That's
songs.
the only song that I don't really like. Besides that and the 2 intermissions, I love every single song. They all just have this weird sound, and I just love that. We see Kanye at an extremely vulnerable moment. Again, great production with lots of passion and emotion. The samples, amazing. He's one of the best at that. Continues to experiment and succeed almost every time he does it. He's able to balance the Christianity, themes of family, emotional tracks, pure rap tracks, and some of the best poppy tracks all together in one album, which is insane. You know, obviously highlights I can pin down highlights on this album, not the song, but my overall thoughts. Because all of the songs are great. I mean, he has like 4 or 5 that could be seen as some of his all-time best. So it hurts to put it that low.
All right. So we're at number 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think I'm making a prediction. I'm not going to say it out loud yet.
Okay.
But number 5, it's got to be Graduation.
I knew you were going to say
that. It's got to
Oh
be
my
Graduation,
gosh.
and I'm sorry, I hate to say it. It's just, it's.
Oh, man.
These top 4 are the most dense, insanely crafted, best works by Kanye West in my opinion, and they're still my favorites, minus being some of his best.
Yeah.
And Graduation just is so close, just barely misses the mark, and I just want to say why.
Okay.
This Kanye album is probably the most feel-good out of all of them.
Yeah.
I think every Kanye fan can agree this is probably his most like laid back, probably his most like, I mean, yes, it's like stadium status and it's like huge
Right,
and,
yeah.
and super fun and stuff, but it's definitely his least dense album that he's come out with.
Definitely, yeah.
And to me, that's what makes Kanye, just through dense lyricism, through just the way he crafts a whole album, structure and everything. This is just a fun pop album. This is like a thriller to me.
Mhm.
This is exactly like a thriller to me. I think almost every song in here, minus a couple, are just this is an album of singles. They could all be singles in their own right, and I think almost every single one was at a point.
Yeah.
And that's impressive, and I love that, and it's a great album. I have so much nostalgia with this album. Flashing Lights was the first Kanye song. I saw it in a Vine once, and I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. And then I saw it was Kanye West. I was like, ew, Kanye West. I hate him. And then I just kept listening to it, and I couldn't stop. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go to Stronger, and then I'll go into Champion. And then every single song on here is a banger.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's just not... It's so close, but it doesn't reach the mark for the next 4. Or your next 4, and now we're in the top 4. This is the big
top
4.
four.
This is the big 4. I think
so
there's a
hard.
cutoff. I think you can say 4 albums are your favorite, but like
Yeah.
they can be interchanged whenever.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So I think these are the big ones.
Yeah.
So number 4.
808s and Heartbreak, man.
Okay.
It's
okay,
amazing.
That's fine.
It's
I guess.
revolutionary. I think it's his most influential album.
Oh, I agree.
So
I agree.
revolutionary.
So far right now, it is the most influential album by Kanye.
I mean,
so
Drake,
far.
Travis Scott, Uzi, Future, The Weeknd, all credit this album as being huge influences. And the auto-tune and the themes of this album are still used today by artists who probably don't even know it. That's just great to see. It's minimalistic, but the raw emotion and passion makes up for it. You can just hear that he is going through so much, and you can just appreciate that. I mean, the instrumentals, I don't even need to comment it, but they're just fantastic all the way through. Love every single one. I think Coldest Winter and Pinocchio Story are the weaker songs on here. But besides that, I love every single one. The great mix of auto-tuned, slow songs, such as Say You Will, Welcome to Heartbreak, amazing, Bad News, Love Lockdown. I mean, they're all amazing. The poppy songs, Heartless, Paranoid, Robocop, and Streetlights. I think there's something for almost everybody except those pure rap fans who might even see Singing in My Nightmares. They probably will enjoy that album. And it just hits different in those sad boy hours. It really
sad
does.
boy hours.
It really hits different.
I guess I've just been a happy person. I guess I just really haven't had those sad. I mean, I guess I have.
This is the album to go to.
Probably in like 3rd grade when the guy was faster than me and the girl went for him. That was probably a
So
time where I
sad.
probably would have played that album. But
Everybody's been there.
everybody's been there. So number 4. I never thought of putting it this high until I had been listening to it lately ever since I got into college. And to me, I don't know why it's hit harder than ever. It's only been out for a little bit, but it's probably my 4th favorite right now. I can put it at 4. That's the only album I'm for sure know that's exactly where it is. And it's Kids See Ghost.
Yeah.
And this is and you've already touched on it. I think it's everything that Ye is. Same way as Late Registration is to College Dropout. Kids See Ghost is everything that Ye is, but just in a whole new light and so much more denser. And that makes sense because this album had a lot more time going into it than Ye. And I feel, and again, like I said, if Ye had more time into it and he focused and he didn't scrap the whole thing, or if he had scrapped it a lot earlier, you know, I feel like it would have had the same impact that Kids See Ghost does. But Kids See Ghost, man, that's probably the only perfect Kanye album in my opinion.
It is pretty good.
It's every single good. Track, and I know you don't like Free, but that is amazing. That is some.
I appreciate it.
Ty Dolla $ign and oh my god, and Kid Cudi, they create this whole like psychedelic rap. Yasin Bey on this, Pusha T on this. The very minimal work outside of Kanye West and Cudi. There's very much. It's just them two just going ham, and it's everything that Cudi and Kanye did everything that Kanye and Jay-Z couldn't.
Yeah,
and it shines so much in this album, and it creates such a deep and meaningful experience talking about mental health. And when you said Cudi Montage was the best Kanye verse, I mean on the album, is that what you...
I mean, I don't know if it's his best, but that's my most memorable in my opinion.
Out of the album, I think every single Kanye verse from Fire to Fourth Dimension to Kids See Ghost to Reborn Cudi Montage,
all of them are amazing.
All 7 tracks are just so dense, and production, lyricism, and just overall creativity to where it's just this like birth child that came straight from the mind of Kanye and Cudi, and it's something that you rarely get out of an artist, except for the other 3 that come out after this. Yeah. So I guess we should go on the top 3 now.
So 3, the ones that are all college dropout.
Oh wow.
I mean,
okay.
Of course, the themes of education are amazing. You know, just him speaking on people who just blindly go to college, just blindly do whatever without having a purpose. You know, especially as a college student, I can relate to that. I mean, and it's one of the only rap albums at the time to deal with like everyday issues. You see so much of that bling era, that gangster rap was still popular. He wasn't talking about all of that. He was talking about hating his job in spaceship, just making beats in his bedroom, his humble beginnings, rise to fame. He did this album in his way. And that speaks true to, again, the theme of just having a purpose with everything you do, not just aimlessly doing something. I mean, so many classics. Jesus Walks will go down as one of his best. Not many songs can top that. And then these songs get some hate. Get 'Em High, 2 Words, and Breathe In, Breathe Out are great.
Great songs.
Great songs. Those are for the pure rap fans that just want bars, and Kanye brings bars. Then you get New Workout Plan, which is just such a fun song to listen to. All the skits are very entertaining as well. But the thing that really brings this album down, in my opinion, are the guest verses. They're pretty weak, in my opinion. All the features don't add anything. It's definitely shines on Kanye, which is what it should be.
Yeah.
But that just brings it down a little bit when he usually gets the best out of his guests.
That's that classic old Kanye. He's like, oh yeah, I'll save all the good beats and good verses from that album. You can go and, you know.
Yeah, he gave Jay-Z kind of the second handout.
Yeah. Okay. If there were ever a guilty pleasure in Kanye's discography, it'd be Yeezus, and that's why it's my third favorite. It's not my first or second, and we know which one's third. We know what's left.
Yeah.
But Yeezus to me, it's everything that a forward-thinking hip-hop album should be, and to me it screams almost the most Kanye album. I think the next 2 are more Kanye than Yeezus, but at the time, no one had seen anything like it. No one knew what to think about it. I'm just gonna go track by track on this one because it's one of my favorites. This is probably one of the most passionate I've been when it was my favorite, of just saying and explaining why it was. The original opening track, On Site, was supposed to be 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness, I can't even
imagine. and the first 8 minutes was just playing around with that first like crazy intro made by Daft Punk and Kanye in the studio, and just playing around with that. And to me, that this is the essence of music. And it shows it on the album cover to me. And I know it's a really crazy statement, but the album cover is just a disc and red. And that's all it is. It's a disc in a disc case. And it's like that when you get it in person. It's like that when you get it on a cassette. The cassette is just a clear cassette and a clear case with an orange stripe on it. The tour, this whole era was just pure art in its purest sense. And I feel that it hits all of the levels of Kanye. And this 3-arc segment, I think On Site, Black Skinhead, I Am a God, New Slaves, hold this just crazy, something we've never seen from Kanye that is both the most foreign thing we've ever heard from Kanye, but also the most Kanye thing I've ever heard.
That's true.
And on the first line, let me show you right now before you give it up. And on to the child sample on the first one. He'll give us what we need, but it may not be what we want, is a perfect way to describe this album. And he does it in the first minute and a half. And I think that's exactly what this whole album is. It's exactly what we needed at the time, and we still do. And I think that's going to be, I think we're seeing a revolutionary, a renaissance, honestly, of how music is perceived right now. And I'm wearing a shirt that describes all of that.
Yeah.
And it's just taking the essence of music and its use and culture and product and talking about what it really means. I mean, you could look at a kid playing with a Louis Vuitton bag. I think he talks about it in an interview with this album. A kid playing with a Louis Vuitton bag. The Louis Vuitton bag to him is just something to hold his crayons in, but to us, it's decades of hard work that we spend, and really, it's just saying there is no we make the meaning up. And that's exactly what this album does. You need to make what this album is to you. And I take it on its base level. I just say it is a blank slate for anybody to give their own perspective or anything. And I think it's a fantastic it's just fantastic art. It's whatever you want it to be. I guess you can probably say it's the most grotesque Kanye album. It's very one dimensional. But I think all your critiques that you said about it, and I'm not trashing them because I agree with some of them, but they're all intentional here. Also, Bound 2 is not one of the worst Kanye songs. Don't even talk about it.
I said overrated. I didn't say worst. I said
number 2.
Overrated.
Number 2. What is your number 2?
Graduation. I mean.
Oh my God! Now you're number 1. Oh,
no.
Okay, my prediction was wrong. I thought our 5s and our 1s were switched.
Oh, that would be cool, but no, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Number 1, everybody should have the same number 1, but I feel like you don't. But again, Kanye reinvents his sound again.
Okay.
And yeah, he makes a more poppy album, but he's not trying to do anything else. He's just trying to make a fun album, and he's now the king of feel-good songs. I mean, it really is. Stadium
status.
I mean, come on.
I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. This is a great feel-good album, and that's why it's like shout out to Miss Bryce. She says it's her favorite album because it's the most feel-good. And I get that. It came out in 2007. 2007 was awesome, all right? You had everything, you know? And, like, it's such a nostalgic album that I have to recognize that I'm loving it because of the nostalgia I have with this album. Mm-hmm. But so I had to push it back a little bit. So that nostalgia to me, I just can't let the nostalgia overtake me because then all of this would just be mixed match, and I'd have nostalgia with every single album.
Yeah, I mean, I think Good Morning is an amazing intro. It's one of my personal favorites. That's just, I used to play that as my alarm just to get me going. I need to do that again because it really helped. I mean, Champion, Good Life, and the Glory, again, just those feel-good songs. Again, they're probably the weaker tracks, but they're still just good to listen to. But some of my favorites are the more slow songs. I Wonder, Everything I Am, Flashing Lights. And they're almost therapeutic, it seems. I mean, just for him to slow it down and just give some great thinking points. I mean, Barry Bonds, I think, is full of bars. I think Wayne gives a pretty good verse. And then Big Brother is a better last call. He talks about his come up, his relationship with Jay-Z. And it just sounds so great. It sounds amazing.
Hey, look, okay. I understand that. All right.
Yeah. And, I mean, Homecoming, it's great. Can't Tell Me Nothing is the classic, just FU rap song to everybody. He's gonna do him. That's what that album said. And yeah, it isn't as thought-provoking as other albums, which is disappointing. But it's
But it
not
doesn't
trying
need
to
to.
be.
Yeah, it doesn't need to. It's not trying to be, and that's a reason why you just gotta love it.
Yeah.
You cannot
It's
hate on that
Graduation,
album.
like-
It's great. Welcome to Graduation. Especially because I played this song almost every day of my senior year of high school, and like that was a big thing. I was just like,
Yeah, everybody was playing, bumping this album senior year.
except the non-Kanye fans,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, forget them.
Yeah, the non-important people. All right, so I say before I say my number two, I say because I'm only gonna say good things. I'm not gonna explain why it's not my
Okay.
number one. I know you're number one. I say we only talk about the good things. I don't think
Okay.
because like these two albums are some of our our number ones are gonna be our favorite albums. Probably not of all time, but like they're gonna be up there.
Yeah.
They're always gonna be up there, and like they're gonna define our adolescence, I guess, in a way to put it. So my number two, and this is I mean, you can't not put in the top three. You can't.
There's no way.
You just can't. The highly praised and loved and thought of as a perfect album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I know this is the first time we talked about it on this podcast, but everybody knows. Like honestly, it's almost a perfect album.
When you think of Kanye, you think of this
I-
album.
I don't.
Most people.
I don't.
I think most people though.
But yes,
to be
but
honest.
I think it is I don't think of it as his magnum opus. I know that's like a hot topic, but it's the general consensus that this is his magnum opus. This is Kanye in his purest form, in his prime. This is just the biggest second wind of any career, coming off of 808s and Heartbreak after the MTV and VMA awards. He shuffled himself and secluding himself in Hawaii for I think a year, a whole year, half a year, either one.
I don't know.
And just living this crazy lifestyle and producing this amazing music and spending months on each track and just making every single one as good as it can be. And honestly, I could vouch for this to be my favorite, but I'm gonna stick with my gut here and say that it's my number two.
Yeah.
Dark Fantasy, probably the greatest intro track of any hip hop album.
Yeah.
Gorgeous,
Cannot-
one of the most. Oh my God, what can we not say about that song? It's just straight. It's just amazing. You can't even explain it. You can't even explain it. Power, one of Kanye's best songs. Crazy, insane. Not my favorite, but I think definitely one of his best. Perfect in his sampling, his use of those samples, just overall message and the underlying meaning and subtext of those messages. All the Lights and the interlude is insane. Amazing pop right there. Monster, crazy, so appalled, insane. Devil in a New Dress. It's inebriating of how amazing that song is. Runaway, I think almost everyone can agree that's maybe Kanye's best song of all time, if not easily his best. Hell of a Life, good. Blame Game, amazing. Lost in the World, Who Will Survive in America are both amazing closers. I count them as one track really, because I mean,
Yeah.
either way, an amazing album. I mean, you can't really argue with how great it is, unless you're like me and like don't really like Blame Game that much. But other than that, perfect album, in my opinion. And it's just not my favorite. It's so close, probably tied, honestly. And I wish that could be an option on this podcast. I guess there isn't a rule against that, but
Yeah.
we're gonna say it is. So we're gonna talk about our number ones now, and that's gonna be the end of it.
There's not too much else for me to talk about.
I mean, I really went in depth on that one.
Yeah, but again, I love 808s, but he really did have to bounce back with an album like this to really gain back a lot of fans and hip hop listeners.
Lost a ton of.
And he could not have done it better though. Like this was the way to do it.
I don't know how he found a way to make it as perfect as he did, but this is definitely. I mean, especially like thinking of like being on the fence as a Kanye fan, you're seeing the VMA stuff, you're seeing all the slander he's getting, you're seeing that you haven't heard from him in almost over a year at this point, and then he just drops the Good Friday tracks and they sound amazing. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for this new Kanye. And listening to 808s I mean, think of that. I mean, the last one we had heard before Ye was like, oh my gosh, like Life of Pablo.
Yeah.
And just that weight. I mean, only being what 2 years, a 2 year gap between, probably not even 2 years. Still is like an amazing. It's probably like a listening experience like no other. Like I wish I was into Kanye when this came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember hearing this album first time through for the first time. It was mind blown.
Yeah. Again, gorgeous. One of his best. Cudi absolutely kills it, and that really starts their collaboration. I know they went on Welcome to Heartbreak, but that really, I mean, he kills that hook. I mean, Power is one of rap's best anthems. It's just such a high energy track.
Yeah.
All the Lights is one of his biggest, one of his best pop blends. So Apollo gets amazing verse from everybody, and Swizz kills it on the hook. I mean, Devil New Dress gets an amazing Rick Ross verse. Apparently, it's his best. I don't listen to him, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
but it's still.
I love Rick Ross and Kanye songs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's not much else to say. Everything's on. I see it as perfect.
To me, I think this is also another example of. I think this is one of the first examples of how Kanye created this new style of making an album where you basically are like a manager, or you're like you're your own engineer of not just the sound of an album, but just the album in general. He took Kid Cudi, Raekwon, Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Nicki Minaj, Bon Iver, Pusha T, Sci-Hi the Prince, Swizz Beatz, all of these different. Oh, John Legend, Chris Rock of all people.
Yeah.
What
amazing outro. Amazing
great.
outro.
Yeezy taught me. Like, oh my gosh. But he brings all these people into this room and they all live together and they all just share ideas and no idea is a bad idea. And if you could, like, it's like you could have some like really stupid idea, like you come in with a White Valentino shirt and be like, oh, White Valentino, Santo Domingo, and you'd be like a part of the album, like all of a sudden. But like any idea went with that. And I think that was the most revolutionary moment. Where
he gives Nicki Minaj her highlight of her career easily.
Right.
He makes her career right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was her breakout. This is a breakout for Sci-Hi the Prince as well, who is arguably becoming, not in my opinion, but one of the biggest faces in hip hop, just through his.
Yeah. I mean, No Dope on Sundays was a good album. I enjoyed it. Waiting for a bit more from him, but you know.
But yeah,
there's a lot of potential.
I definitely can see why it's a number one on anybody's and everybody's list, obviously. Yeah. But it's not mine.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, my number one album, probably guessed it by now if you've been paying attention, but it is Life of Pablo. Oh my gosh, what can I not say about this album that I've already said a million times? This album, it's probably perfect in my eyes. I know that people won't agree with this, but to me, it is Kanye at a vulnerable point, at a strong point, as a father, as a husband, as a son. It's Kanye. This is the Kanye album. When you think of the word Pablo, you either think Pablo Picasso, Pablo Escobar, or the Apostle Paul, and that is what this is. It's when Kanye is gone. Who are we going to think of Kanye as? And that's the most Kanye thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What are people going to think of me once I'm gone? And to me, that for one, that's a thing that as an adolescent, what am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go? Am I going to be this mover of product like this creator of product? Am I going to be a mover of product like Pablo Escobar? I mean, this was in the height of Yeezy. Like the St. Pablo tour was insanely huge. This was a cultural movement of an album, especially since it was being changed here and there. And I think two or three songs were added or changed.
Yeah, St. Pablo was added.
St. Pablo and 30 Hours.
Yeah.
Wolves was. I mean, a lot of tracks were changed a great amount.
Yeah. Facts was changed and improved. Everything was improved.
Everything was improved to make this impressive album that I think is perfect in my opinion. I know a lot of people won't agree with that, But to
A
me,
lot of people.
a lot of people. And that's why I love having it as my number one, because to me, it's the most Kanye thing because it's the most controversial pick.
That's
And
true.
but I'll just take this track by track, honestly. Ultralight Beam. Can we get a moment of silence for everybody that listened to that for the first time and died? Okay, thank you. No, that is amazing. That might be my favorite Kanye track. It really might
It's
be.
amazing.
Father Stretch My Hands. I know this talks about bleached genitalia, but oh my god.
It doesn't get more Kanye than that.
It doesn't get
though.
more Kanye than that. Literally, Chance the Rapper said we put that in so we could be the song that just is a pop hit and talks about bleached genitalia. It is it's amazing. It's oh my god that oh my gosh, some of the best sampling I've ever heard in an album. In my opinion, I think there's 31 different samples on here, and every single one is used to its fullest extent, and it's insane. Famous is probably the most infamous Kanye song to ever come out at this point.
With the whole video controversy.
The video
it
controversy,
was insane.
the whole Taylor Swift stuff that's still going on.
It really, it just resurfaced.
Yeah, it just resurfaced again, like a month ago.
Low-key, he was right. Kanye made her famous.
I'm not gonna argue with what he says, and I'm not gonna agree nor disagree, but I'm just saying this song is crazy, and then he's like, this whole album to me is just Kanye in his purest form, in his strongest and his most vulnerable. It's just him. He's vulnerable, he's powerful, and he's his own brand. And that's what this album is. It's his own brand. And throughout there, we're getting themes of hypersexual lifestyle that we saw in Yeezus to what we see in Ye, and hopefully in Jesus is King, where he focuses on his religion and his family, and he talks about his division between his family, and he talks about his relationship with his wife, and he hits everything. He even has a song called "I Love Kanye." This is the Kanye
Love those
album.
tracks.
This is I think this is his self-titled. Honestly, you could just call this Kanye West, and it'd make 10 times more sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's everything that a Kanye album should be, in my opinion. And even though it might not be his best, it's definitely my favorite. And yeah, that's it. But at the end of the day, we have to agree that picking a favorite Kanye album is like picking a favorite child.
It's hard.
It's always
hard
hard
to rank it.
This was hard to make. Jack spent probably about 8 weeks making this list. He has bags under his eyes. You can't see it, but he has bags under his eyes.
Been stressing all 2 months.
But yeah, that's the list. That's it.
Like literally tomorrow, I could put Life Apollo at 3 or 2. I could change it.
Exactly. I could mix and match this whole thing tomorrow, and I'd still be happy with it. Sure. If you have not listened to any of these albums, I would give at least one song on each a try. Maybe not the crazy ones. But
you gotta kind of ease yourself into it.
You have to ease yourself into Kanye, and yeah, he's the biggest man in culture in the past 2 decades, and after this list, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to go over his whole discography, like that, and hopefully we're getting something new soon. But
I mean, can you agree that no one else has a discography like this?
Best discography in hip hop.
I'm sorry, there's no other. You can say Nas, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Biggie, like all these people. They don't have the same discography.
They really don't.
You can't come out with arguably 11 great albums, especially 8 great albums. If we're like,
he doesn't have a single bad album.
Does not have a single bad album.
Bad.
I wouldn't even if we're not counting Cruel Summer. Like every album is at least a 7.5 out of 10 or greater. And it's and they're all gonna be 9s when you fall in love with them, and that's like the thing, and or 10s. Like it's really hard not to love every single album on this list. And that's why we made this video, or podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't expect any more 454 podcast episodes. If you do, cool. I think this video has been going on for way too long. But whoever's listening to this, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
If you made it this far, of course. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great whatever time of day it is. If it's the morning, have a great